Dear devotees, Hare Krishna. Once from the University of Winchester in the south of England, a professor of religion came to our temple, and she had a prearranged appointment with me to ask me certain questions about Krishna consciousness. And as starters, she had been through the entire morning program. And the first question she asked me was, I want to talk to you about your rituals. I said, yes, go ahead. She said, well, I've talked to the other devotees and I've asked 2 or 3 of them, could you explain the rituals that you're performing in the temple every day? And they all told me, oh, we don't do rituals. She said, but they were rituals. And I asked another person, can you tell me about the rituals that you're doing? They said, oh, no, we don't do rituals. This is called Bhakti Yoga. So the first call of the day was to establish the definition of rituals. Often we use the word ritual as an unthinking, repetitive activity that one engages in almost as a mental habit. And that's why devotees say, we don't do rituals. We just do service. We just do bhakti. We just do devotion, which means that I put my heart into this activity. However, much of what we do is the strict definition, dictionary definition of ritual, since we do the same thing over and over again. And the professor said, she said to me, she said, the very definition of ritual is a repeat activity, a ritualized activity, repetitive activity. I said, yes, I know, but the devotees think that you mean empty rituals or non-thinking rituals, whereas what they really want you to understand is that their rituals are full of meaning for them. She said, yes, but the rituals that you're doing are repetitive. They are rituals. She said, I went to Guru Puja, for instance. Everyone offers flower petals to the same person. Everyone bows down. Everyone sings the same song at the same time. They drink the sacred water from the deities, the Charanamrita, at the same time. They repeatedly sing Govindam Adi Purusham at the same time. So these are rituals. I said, the dictionary definition, yes, that's true. However, they're not empty. For the devotees, within their mind, is not an empty mind. They're doing these with purpose. And although it's ritualized behavior at our stage of bhakti, it's nonetheless perfectly acceptable to our path of bhakti yoga. And it's acceptable to God because God doesn't mind rituals. He just doesn't like it when the rituals are empty or non-thinking. And the whole point of the ritual in itself, even if you don't feel the transcendent emotions in the beginning, is to actually experience the presence, the nearness, the closeness of God by doing those rituals. So she was satisfied with that. But sometimes we use the word ritual as if to mean empty ritual, but we are ritualized. But we do not perform rituals where there is no thought, and we don't perform rituals where there is no devotional content. So there are many rituals. For instance, one time I was in South India and I thought I would go and see the head of all the Shankarites, the not Adi Shankaracharya, but the Shankaracharya of Sringeri. There are 4 popes of Shankara's philosophy, and they live in different parts of India. And I was the last person in the queue, and I said to him, I said, please, Swami, give me your blessings for preaching in the Western world. He said, yes, I bless you. And we talked for a little bit longer. He said, well, now I have to go and do my puja. I said, Swami, can you please tell me who you're worshipping? And he went like this, he smiled, he said, Krishna. He said, I'm worshipping Krishna. But his worship of Krishna is unfortunately Ahangara Upasana. Ahangara Upasana means self-worship. In other words, now I perceive a difference. Here is Krishna on the altar, and I'm offering puja, and I'm a Swami. But one day in the near future, Krishna and me, there will be no difference. I shall become Krishna. I shall merge. So this type of ritual, although on the outside it looks exactly the same as the devotees. There's a ringing of bell, the offering of incense, the waving of a lamp. It looks exactly the same from the outside, but the inside purpose of the ritual is completely different. Prabhupada was in Mayapur walking along, and there was a puddle. And he put his hand out so one of the devotees could take his hand to help him cross over the puddle. So he crossed over the puddle with the devotee's help. And when he got to the other side, Prabhupada just took his arm and he threw the devotee's arm away. To watch my furniture here. He threw the devotee's arm away. And the devotee was a little shocked. Did I do something wrong? So Prabhupada took another couple of steps. He said, so this is Mayavad. This is Mayavad. You take the help of the Guru to help you across the ocean of material life. He said, then, now I have crossed over, I'm liberated. And he went like this. He said, I have no more need for the Guru. He said, so this is impersonalism. So the idea of having a Guru, I have a Guru, you have a Guru, they have a Guru. But what is the intent of your Guru worship? Will you give up the Guru when you're feeling liberated? Will you give up the Guru when you have achieved just a little bit of spiritual advancement? Many people do, and this is known as impersonalism. But from the outside, it looks the same. I have someone, he is my Guru, he dresses in orange. He gives me blessings. He speaks from the Vedas. You have a Guru, he dresses in orange. He gives blessings, he speaks from the Vedas. But my intention is to serve my Guru, and your intention is to merge with your Guru or reject your Guru as no different from yourself at a particular point. So it is the feelings as well as the ritual. So why do we do rituals if we're just interested in feeling? Well, because the rituals help us to engender those feelings. Feelings don't come on a puff of smoke or in a cloud. Feelings come as a result of the extrapolation of the inner intention into a practical activity. This is known as, you might say, archana. So archana means to extrapolate one's inner intention and to perform an activity dedicated to helping you reach the object of your intentions. So what are your intentions? Well, your intentions are all over the place at the moment, but you've engaged in Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means to change my intentions. So in the beginning of my path of Bhakti Yoga, I'm not really sure what I believe. In my case, I became a devotee when I was 17 in 1974. I already had tilak. I remember I already had tilak on my forehead. I'd shaved my head with a sikha. I was dressed in orange robes. And one day, I remember I was walking past a big store window, big plate glass window, and I caught sight of myself. And I looked at my reflection, and what looked back at me was a Hare Krishna monk. And I thought to myself, what happened to me? That's not me. I had hair down here. I had ordinary clothes. And these people, they've taken my hair, they've taken my trousers, they've taken my rucksack with all my belongings. Now they want to take my name, and they've stamped me with the rubber stamp of tilak on my face. I'm not sure if I like this. So it was a deep existential crisis that I entered into. And I went to my Sankirtan leader, who was a lovely devotee by the name of Tribhuvanath, who helped me greatly. And I said, look, there's so many things I want to do in life. So many things I want to do in life. I want to travel. I'm only 17, for God's sake. I want to see the world. I want to, you know, I want to do so many things. I want to make money. I want to travel. He said, it's all right. He said, it's all right. Don't worry. He said, you can do exactly what you want to do. You can do exactly what you want to do. And I sort of, I took a breath. Oh, okay. He said, but you do it for Krishna, not just for yourself. He said, look at me. He said, I travel the world. He said, but I do it for Krishna. He said, I have fun. I get to see different places, different cultures. I have different foods, different experiences, but it's all for Krishna. I'm serving Krishna. So whatever you want to do, and he pointed his finger at me. He said, whatever you want to do, if you take what you want to do and you do it for Krishna, instead of just doing it for yourself, he said, you turn your activities into bhakti as long as the target is always the pleasure of Krishna. And so I could breathe properly again when he explained that Krishna consciousness is not a giving up of something or many things. It's an adding to your life. It's an adding Krishna to your life. It's adding a fixed transcendent objective to your life. So here we have in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have a discussion of the Payo Vrata. Payo Vrata is made of two words, payas, which means milk, and Vrata, which means vow. Now, in ancient India, people would make a vrat. People still do a vrat. Today is the beginning of the month of Kartik, which is the Vedic name for it, or the month of Damodar, which is the Vaishnav name for it. So don't be confused. We have two names for 1 month. Okay, both Sanskrit. So sometimes you speak to devotees and they say, what are you doing for the month of Damodar? And they say, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then they'll say, are you going to India for Kartik? So we use these two names interchangeably. So with Kartik, there's a vrat. It's up to you what you choose to do, but the idea is to do something for 28 days. Usually a vrat is for 28 days or sometimes for 12 days. So Payo Vrata is sometimes done for 12 days. So here's the husband, Kashyapa Muni, who's learned this Payo Vrata from Brahma, telling his wife, Aditi, that if you do this Payo Vrata and just, I mean, this is, you know, this can be interpreted in a different way, so don't get it wrong. Here's the husband telling the wife that she just has to drink milk for 12 days. Easy for him, you might think. But he says, if you do this, then I promise that Vishnu will help you restore your son to prosperity, because he'd been conquered by the demons. So with the vrata comes a sankalpa. A sankalpa means a fixed mental resolve to, yes, I'm going to do this. It's like the thing, it's like, okay, let's do this. This is a sankalpa. It's a resolve. We're going to do this. Yeah, punch the air. So we punch the air or we say something. Yeah, woohoo, we're going to do this. We're going to do this Payo Vrata. We're going to do this Kartik Vrat. Yay. So all these yays and woohoos and punching the air, this is your sankalpa. So along with it, of course, sankalpa in ancient Vedic times would mean, my dear God, I want to do this for you. Please give me the strength to do it, because only by your strength will I be able to do this for you. You are the inner strength by which I can do these things. And so Payo Vrata means this 12 days of milk. We have one devotee here in England. He's just finished 2 months of just milk. 2 months just with milk. And he looks a Slim Jim. He went in a fat cat and he came out a Slim Jim. And he says that it's really helped him with his bhakti as well. He wasn't technically doing a Payo Vrata. It was just a diet. but it seems to have worked in different ways. So along with your sankalpa, you might then take diksha. Diksha means initiation, and the way we interpret it in ISKCON, of course, is first initiation, second initiation, but it means to be given a mantra to chant. And quite often, diksha was given for a period of 12 days, or a month, or a year, something like that, whereby you would chant the mantra given to you by your guru, beginning from the sankalpa onwards. So, according to your consciousness, there is a different sankalpa and diksha and vrat for you. So what is it that you want? Whatever you want is called the sadhya, or the perfection. And whatever you do to reach that object, the goal, is known as the sadhana. So the sadhana helps you to get to the sadhya. So if you want a beautiful wife, the Bhagavatam says, worship Indra. So that will mean your rituals will be all Indra flavored. Of course, devotees, we follow the path of, it's sort of like the path of Govardhan Hill, isn't it? We were worshipping Indra for many different things, then we worship Krishna. So we transition in our desires. My dear Lord, before I met you, I was looking for broken glass. Or I was looking for, but now I think I've discovered in you, I've discovered the jewel. So either by philosophical argument or just about having exhausted every other opportunity, we come to the point where now all we want is to satisfy Krishna, to satisfy Vishnu. And the Lord is called Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja has an interesting meaning. Adha, Akshaja. Whatever is against the eye is pushed down. That which pushes everything that you can see downwards, Adhokshaja, which means that anything that there is in the world is pushed down in comparison to Vishnu, in comparison to the Lord, Adhokshaja. So he's what I want. He's where I lay my head at that person's feet. So here we have a wonderful description of this Payavrata, and the aim is to please Vishnu. And when we hear this, it is not that we should think that, oh, Kripamoya says, that Prabhupada says, that the best thing to do is for all the devotees at the Bhakti Center to drink milk only for 1 month. And he said it was right there in the Bhagavatam, and Kashyapa Muni is saying it, and Prabhupada is saying it, and the verse says, it's the best of all regulated principles. Well, how about that? We follow 4 regulated principles, but now we have a 5th regulated principle, drink milk. It's the best austerity. Well, I was doing my service in the temple, but now I don't think I can do it because Kripamoya told me everybody should drink milk. And I feel so weak. I can't do anything to serve Krishna. Best process of giving in charity and the best sacrifice. Well, there's a lot of praise. And you get this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you will get it in any Vedic text, that you'll get explicit details of how to perform a ritualistic function, and then you'll get praise. In other words, just to give you a bit more, woo, yay, they will get you. If you do this, it's really pleasing to Vishnu. But in the purport, what Prabhupada says is, the meaning of this, the meaning of all this, is that everything is meant to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adhokshaja. So everything that you do it for him. And ultimately, our goal is, of course, to be reunited with Krishna. It is not a, it is not a cheap thing. We've set our sights on the greatest thing. Once I was, now that I'm old and somewhat still arrogant, but when I was young, I was very arrogant, and I was a book distributor, and I tried my best to engage in the ritual of book distribution with some success. So I thought, now that I'm successful, now that the temple is living off the funds that me and my friends are collecting, now that I'm doing the service that Srila Prabhupada really, really wants us all to do, let me go and enlighten others who are not doing the things that Prabhupada really wants us to do. And so my friends and I, brahmacharis, we went to the pujaris and we said, you do realize that although Krishna is pleased with what you do, you can please Krishna a lot more if you distribute books. And we thought that we were just repeating what we had heard, and that was good. So the head pujari, she wrote a letter to Prabhupada and expressed her dissatisfaction. I mean, it's a long story. We went further than that. We practically blackmailed the pujaris to come out on Sankirtan every day. You know, it was not right what we did. But Prabhupada came and he knew the situation. This was 1975 in March. Prabhupada came to the temple. And this is what he said. He said, somebody is cooking, somebody is decorating the deity, somebody is cleansing the floor, somebody is going to sell books. All these activities are in relationship with Krishna. Therefore, they are complete. Here in the material world, somebody is sitting in the office chair and somebody is cleaning the office. The cleaner is supposed to be lower than the officer. In the spiritual world, there is no such distinction. In Vrindavan, the cowherd boys are playing with Krishna on equal terms. They do not know that Krishna is God. They simply know how to love Krishna, that's all. Simply the center is Krishna. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan love Krishna. One knows Krishna is my son, my master, my lover. Everyone's center is Krishna, and how Krishna will be happy. This is Vrindavan life. If we try to follow the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan, then our life is successful. That is the recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the goal of life. So he really balanced it there. But still, one of the devotees, my friend, my good friend, put his hand up, and he still thought he would, tempt Prabhupada, manipulate Prabhupada into saying something. So he said, Srila Prabhupada, what is the service that will please you the most? So he obviously hadn't been listening. What is the service that will please you the most? Then Prabhupada talks about, he said, rendering service to Radha and Krishna, even the most insignificant thing, is the best service that anyone can do. And Prabhupada talked about an ant, a little insect on Krishna's flower garland. And if it falls off Krishna's flower garland onto Krishna's feet, Krishna will think, oh, here is my devotee massaging my feet. He says, he will see that ant in the position of a devotee rendering service. Then he turned to the devotees, all of us, and he said, what to speak of someone who consciously decides to serve? He said, Krishna will take your service, and he's looking at everyone. He said, he will take your service as pure devotional service. What an opportunity you have. So today, how long have we got? We out of time?
About 15 minutes.
Oh, 15 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
So today is the day we separate the very pinnacle of service to Krishna expressed in the form of the rasa dance. Now, normally we devotees, we don't speak too much about the rasa dance, but really it is the, it is what all the cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam are leading up to, in the sense that this confidential service to Krishna, to dance with Krishna, is what every soul in the spiritual world aspires to. If not the rasa dance, then confidential service. But how it works is that the perfection is that Krishna expands himself so that every single liberated soul feels, I am dancing with Krishna. So every devotee feels, I am dancing with Krishna. Even though there are many, many Krishnas to take care of many, many devotees. So we aspire for that, but we are also very careful, because Prabhupada says you first deserve and then you desire. So although the perfection of devotion is to be reinstated in a circle dance with Krishna as the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant 100 times removed, we take that very carefully. First, as Prabhupada says, you deserve, and then you can desire. If you desire it before you deserve it, you're putting the proverbial cart before the horse. Nothing will happen. Srila Prabhupada's guru, Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, his father and he had started a branch of what we now call ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It was called the Vishva Vaishnava Raja Sabha. They started it in a hired building in a place called Altadingi Road in Calcutta. And they installed beautiful deities there, Gauranitai or Radha Krishna Gauranitai. And then there came time for the day to move. So because it was a rented place until they got a new place. And on the day, they had a beautiful chariot for the deities, beautiful kirtan, and they walked from Altadingi Road to Bagh Bazaar, where they built a beautiful marble temple, which is still there, by the way. And on the way, disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta were singing a song that he'd written. There was only 6 verses, but he wrote this. And his followers said that, practically speaking, the whole of the philosophy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was wrapped into this one song. So the first 2 lines go like this. Mattala Harijana Vishaya Range Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bange. There's probably a nice melody that it was sung with, but I can't do it. It translates, the devotees are handling all things in the Lord's service. Vishaya. Vishaya means usually sense gratification, objects of enjoyment. And usually the devotees give up all objects of enjoyment. But he was saying the devotees of the Lord, the Harijan, they are Vishaya Range, they're engaging with all the objects of sense gratification. Why? Simply to serve the Lord. Pujala, Raga Pata Pujala, Vishaya Range Pujala. So he says they worship the path of spontaneous devotion, Raga Bhakti, in which one's Raga, or innate attraction for Krishna, has been re-established, but they do it with awe and devotion. Beautiful way of expressing it. So we worship the highest thing, but in a state of reverence. As servants, a little distant and below. Not to bring the highest love for Krishna down to this plane, but to hold it on our heads. So Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bangi means you always keep the rasa dance of Krishna above you and just a little distant, meaning that you always consider yourself a servant of that ultimate state, and never wanting to, as one contemporary Vaishnava said, never wanting to crash the party without an invitation. This is the thing. You don't go to a party without an invitation. Otherwise, you're called, what is this called? A party crasher. The part was that, is that it? Party? Yeah, party crasher. Something. So we wait for an invitation, and this is such a nice verse. Prabhupada says, don't worry. He said that the mood of Radharani is always to bring you closer to Krishna. She's in the middle of the rasa dance with Krishna, but her greatest joy is to take the hand of another gopi and to unite that hand with Krishna's hand. This is Radharani's message. In 1913, there was a beautiful painting done, and Prabhupada liked this painting. He said, you see this color of Krishna in this painting? He said, this is Krishna's color. And beautiful, like a cobalt blue. And in this particular painting, there was a series of paintings, and it's one painting. Radharani is taking the hand of a gopi and joining it to Krishna's hand. He said, this is Radharani. He said, this is the highest level of devotion, that we take the hand of someone and we join that to Krishna's hand. So that, he felt, was analogous to preaching, the preaching mission. That rather than being with Krishna ourselves, we take the time and effort to go out and find lost souls and to reunite them with Krishna. At the same time, I must warn you, don't think that if you're engaged in doing this, that somehow or another you are, better than others. If you want to really be better than others, then you always have to consider yourself not as good as others. This is the paradox. He who is, she who is the best of devotees always thinks, I'm the worst. And so, can I just tell you about a beautiful time where we celebrated Sharad Purnima, beautiful rasa dance of Krishna and Radha in London, at the feet of Radha Londonishwara. And there was a beautiful outfit had been done for them in silver, and there was the gopis around the bottom in a circle, and there was a full moon shining on the altar. It was very nicely done. This was 1975, in the middle of the Christmas marathon, as we used to call it in those days. And our aim in this Christmas marathon, it was a sacred aim. It was a holy aim. We'd all taken a sacred sankalpa. What was the aim? It was to beat America. That was our holy vow. This year we shall beat America. I'm making a confession here. And we went on the underground trains, and we were distributing books on the underground trains to great success. And we reached our sadhya with a very intense sadhana. But the pinnacle was this night, we were celebrating the Sharad Purnima and dancing and singing in the temple with this moonlight glow over the altar. And in from America came these wonderful books that we'd never seen before. It was known as the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And everybody was looking at each other and thinking, well, what are they? we don't know what this book is. You mean there's another book? Prabhupada had ordered his devotees to finish this series of books, all 17 volumes as it was at the time, in a few months. That means artists and illustrators and editors and translators and different people, bookbinders, had all been on a marathon itself. And each of these volumes of the Chaitanya Charitamrita was brought in on a red velvet cushion and taken off the cushion and laid at the feet of Krishna. And as I look back on it now, I saw that as the perfection of the Sharad Purnima, celebrating the rasa dance with the appearance of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is the fulfillment of the Radha and Krishna relationship in the perfection that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming to this world to give the opportunity to take part in Bhakti Yoga. And when he comes with all his associates. So anywhere where there is a temple, especially in the heart of a city, especially where there is installed a beautiful Gaura Chandra, especially where he is daily worshipped and prayed to by the devotees, this place will always be successful because the Lord's blessings will always be on that place. This is one of the places that is established to fulfill the order of all our Vaishnava Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. If today we were to bring Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur to New York and to allow them to gaze on the beautiful features of Sri Gaura Chandra, what would they say? they would say, we give you, all you boys and girls, we give you unlimited blessings for doing this. We know that it is difficult. We know that New York is a difficult city to live in, or to speak of, preach in, but we are so pleased with your activities. So we can imagine how pleased they are today with us. And we have that connection. Don't think that we don't. Don't think that we're not intimately connected with all these Vaishnavacharyas, and that every little thing that we do that is pleasing to Krishna is getting their blessings. So this day of all days, I would like to give you my thanks, and I would like to call for Krishna's blessings, Gaurachandra's blessings, and the blessings of Mahaprabhu's associate, Murari Gupta, to kindly bless us all in our bhakti, in our preaching, in our help and care for others. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Judging by this amazing class, it's clear that those blessings are already with you. So thank you for sharing them with us. Everyone's allowed to unmute themselves now if they'd like to ask a question or share any sort of reflection or anything. Thank you so much, Prabhu, again for the class. In a few minutes, we'll have darshan. So in the meantime, until that screen shows on Gaur Sharan's little box there, we're open for questions if anyone has them or appreciations.
Lovely, thank you.
Oh, Gail can't unmute. Hold on. You should be able to, Gail, I think. Let me see if I can do anything about it.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for class. There are a couple of questions. One is, how was the milk vrata devotional service? And you also distinguished between a vrata or a vow and resolve. So I wasn't clear on that distinction.
Oh, I see. Resolve?
Yeah, resolve and vrata. You seem to have made a distinction between the two.
Yeah, vrata is what you do, and the resolve is the determination that you express, often as a vocation, an invocation. In other words, I am going to do this. When you say I'm going to do this, there's a sankalpa or a mental resolve, and then doing it is the vrata itself. And the other question, the Paya Vrata is actually meant to, if you do it for 12 days, some texts say that you should do it with the cows. You should be there with the cows, living in the cow barn for 12 days. Interesting, huh? Kind of makes drinking milk easy. But sometimes it's done as an expiation of sin. We don't see that is the performance here, but sometimes it's recommended that if you've done something wrong, this is a vrat that you can do. So how is it pleasing? Well, again, it's pleasing if you consider that my activities today in giving up certain pleasures of this world are an offering to Vishnu. In other words, Vishnu is pleased with everything that you do that is non-material, that is a departure from your normal self-centered round of activities. But it's not that if you drink milk for 12 days or a month that you won't simultaneously be chanting mantras. The mantras there as well. So in all ways, you'll be purifying yourself. I see that we're getting ready for daily greeting now, but I hope that's okay.